United Kingdom, the past few years and months have been fraught with hardship. The UK is now a nation grappling with economic stagnation, a rising cost of living, and skyrocketing inflation that wages are failing to match. However, beneath these somber headlines lies a deeper story of decades-long economic dysfunction that holds lessons for the future. In the grand theater of economic health, productivity plays a leading role. It's the lifeblood of an economy, the mechanism that enables us to produce more with less, and it's the catalyst that elevates a nation's standard of living. So how did Britain, once the pride of the 19th century with unmatched productivity, courtesy of the Industrial Revolution and colonialism, find itself playing second fiddle to the United States in the 20th century? What caused the UK's productivity chart to nosedive, painting a grim picture of decline? In 1950, the UK was a titan of global trade, with British exports accounting for a staggering 25% of the world's total. However, a period of relative decline soon followed, largely due to the post-war recovery of Germany and Japan. Britain's problems weren't confined to external competition. Internally, the nation was plagued with poor industrial relations, inadequate investment, and outdated technologies, significantly hindering efficiency and productivity. Fast forward to 1979, when Margaret Thatcher took the reins of a nation where productivity had been flatlining for years. The Iron Lady, as she later became known, didn't waste time. She instigated a sweeping reform movement that reshaped Britain's economy, slashing taxes, tipping the balance of power towards employers and away from unions, and dismantling public ownership of assets, while introducing broad economic deregulation. The reverberations of this transformation are still felt today. Compared to other European nations, Thatcher's reforms seemingly worked magic. Productivity improved. However, a closer inspection reveals a murky underside. While boosting productivity, Thatcher's policies hollowed out unions and manufacturing, leading to depressed wages, stifled innovation, and an over-reliance on the financial and services sector, largely concentrated in London. Between 1997 and 2007, Britain witnessed remarkable growth and prosperity. It secured the second spot for productivity growth among the G7 nations, trailing only the US. The annual output per hour surged by 1.9%, reflecting the nation's thriving economy. Its GDP per hour even rose from a substantial 88% to near parity with the German benchmark at 93%. In 2008, however, the landscape dramatically shifted. The global financial crisis struck the heart of Britain's economy. Prior to this catastrophe, the nation had been experiencing a productivity surge, its growth rate second only to the US. The financial crisis abruptly halted this momentum. Shockingly, Britain's productivity has struggled to regain its former strength. In the decade that followed from 2009 to 2019, the growth rate of British productivity became one of the slowest among the G7 nations, barely surpassing Italy. Brexit has only exacerbated the UK's economic stagnation. Traditionally, the UK has been a trade-driven economy, with trade accounting for 60% of GDP during the mid-1970s, surpassing both Germany and the US. However, trade as a percentage of GDP has since declined. The decision to exit the single market and customs union has introduced unnecessary frictions, causing the UK to miss out on potential export opportunities. Considering the significant role of trade and the fact that 50% of it is with the European Union, the UK is losing out on substantial opportunities. The dawn of the 90s witnessed an incredible surge in the housing market. Property prices soared by a staggering 429%, while the average income struggled to keep pace. As a result, a home, often seen as a milestone of personal achievement, now costs nearly 7 times an individual's average income, a phenomenon unseen since the 19th century. This disparity has born a new reality, where the dream of homeownership remains an elusive mirage for many. This has led to a generation whose tenure is characterized primarily by rental agreements, seemingly powerless against the wave of the property boom. Renting, however, is just as fraught. The rental market is gripped by a severe shortage of properties, leading to cutthroat competition, even for subpar overpriced dwellings. Rent has escalated faster than inflation in recent years, with experts predicting an upward trajectory in the foreseeable future. The housing shortage has significantly impacted societal structures and dictated how British people live. One key example is the increasing number of young adults living with their parents. The percentage of this demographic has grown from 35% in 1998 to 42% in 2021, underscoring the economic conditions and soaring cost of living. In theory, the UK may appear affluent, yet our quality of life and standard of living are being undermined by the burden of housing costs. The dream of a home sweet home remains for many just that, a dream. While the economies of France, Germany, and America continue to invest in robotics and automation, the UK seems to be trailing behind. Britain's research and development spending has remained disappointingly subdued for an extended period, a trend clearly mirrored in the country's business investment figures, which alarmingly plummeted from 14.7% of GDP in 1989 to a mere 10% by the close of 2019. This isn't a one-time dip or a statistical anomaly. It's a worrying trend that continues to cast a shadow on Britain's economic growth. Adding to the concern is the insufficient allocation of resources to critical sectors like renewable energy and green technology. The UK, it seems, is still trying to catch up to the global shift towards sustainability. The UK's economy is not just suffering from lack of investment, but also from issues emerging with vocational training. The Confederation of British Industry, or CBI, predicts that as the economy continues to evolve, a startling 90% of the workforce will need to acquire new skills. To prevent the skills gap from widening, an investment of £13 billion per year would be necessary just to keep new skill gaps from surfacing. Meanwhile, the International Federation of Robotics reports that the UK's manufacturing industry has less technological automation than virtually any other similarly prosperous country. With a mere 100 robots installed per 10,000 manufacturing workers in 2020, the UK's average robot density was even lower than that of Slovenia and Slovakia. Furthermore, one analysis of the infamous UK productivity puzzle concluded that aside from London and the finance sector, almost every other British sector has lower productivity than its Western European counterparts. Facing declining productivity, a housing crisis, and an investment in vocational training shortfall, the UK's future seems challenged. However, such crises can also spark innovation and previously unthinkable solutions. Improving productivity, key to enhancing living standards, must be a priority. This requires substantial investments in education, training, research, development, and infrastructure. Despite Brexit's challenges, it offers a chance for the UK to diversify its trade, explore new markets, and lessen dependence on London as the main economic hub, encouraging regional growth. The housing crisis requires a reassessment of current policies to establish a fairer housing market. This involves promoting affordable housing, curbing property speculation, and improving conditions for renters. Investments in renewable energy, green technology, automation, and robotics can secure the UK's global economic position while generating substantial jobs, reducing environmental harm, and boosting productivity. Lastly, the UK needs to prioritize vocational training to bridge the skills gap, prepare the workforce for future jobs, promote social mobility, and enhance economic resilience. In the end, the UK's future depends on the decisions it makes today. It needs to find its place in the post-Brexit, post-pandemic world, and this requires tackling the deep-rooted economic problems that have been swept under the rug for far too long. While the road to economic revival may be challenging, it isn't impossible. The UK has the resources, the talent, and the capacity to turn this crisis into an opportunity for lasting change. But to do this, it must look beyond the short-term fixes and embrace the long-term sustainable solutions. With the right approach and a steadfast commitment, Britain can once again become a robust, productive economy that benefits all its citizens.